Let's learn how to fork a repository on GitHub. A fork is essentially a copy of the original repository, but in a different location. This allows you to make experimental changes to the repository without affecting the original. You also have a link back to the original repository where you could sync up the main branch that you had forked. The most common use case of a fork is to contribute to a repository that you don't actually have write access to. Generally, if you do have write access, you could just create a branch and then open up a pull request off of a branch and merge your changes into the main code line. But if you don't have write permission, you can't do that. You have to have some other way. Almost all contributions to open source software is done in this way, where you'll fork a repository, you'll make changes on a branch, and then you'll open up a pull request on the main repository using your forked one. So let me show you how to do that. Over here on the right, there's a button that says fork. We just click on it. From here, we get a menu to create a new fork. Now, there are a couple options here. One is to choose an owner. If you are the original owner of the repository that you're forking, you can't move it to your location because you already have that project. So you'll have to move it to a different owner. Now, if you're not the owner, then you can use your account as the place where you want to create your fork. For the purpose of this tutorial, I'm going to use my organization. Then next is the repository name. Here we could change the name if we wanted to. Generally, I just keep it the same, just so I don't confuse myself as to which repository this is being forked from. Next is the description, and this will show a bit of text underneath your repository name in the main code repository webpage. You could say whatever you like here. I'm just going to leave this blank. The next option is to copy the main branch only. The reason that this is always checkmarked is because in open source software, you're probably only copying out the main branch and then working off of that main branch. And then you'll end up creating a pull request later and then syncing your forked repository with the original one after all of the changes have been merged into the original branch. If you have this unchecked, then it will copy all of the branches in the repository, which there might be a lot of. Those are the only pieces to create a fork. So if we go to the bottom right, we can click on create fork. Now it'll take you directly to your new forked repository, and this acts just like any other repository. You do get this little blurb up here saying that it's forked from, and then it shows the original repository, just so that you know that this is not the original. You also get a couple other options down here. One says contribute, and this will automatically open up a pull request on the original repository so that you don't have to go through that original repository to open it up. And then you have a sync fork, which syncs any of the changes that are in the upstream or the original repository downstream to this fork. Other than that, this is exactly the same as any other repository. You can commit to it, you can open up branches, you can do anything that you want. And that is how you create a fork inside of the GitHub website.